Welcome back. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be making this ad right here, or something pretty similar to it, using Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. Illustrator you can use for laying out ads and such. Normally you would be using InDesign, but right now we're going to shoot this through Illustrator instead. Anyway, so let's get to it here. So you see what we have here, the basis of this ad, and what you'll see in many advertisements and on web and TV, etc., is that you've got a hierarchy of type. You've got your title, usually up at the top. You've got a nice visual entry point up through here, and then you've got some visual proximity going on with the title and whatever you're trying to tie it to. And you also have a visual flow. Notice that the text lines up and everything runs down through to the product itself. Notice that the product, there's not a lot of stuff covering it up because you want to showcase the product. You also have this visual flow running down, and then to any extra information at the bottom of the ad. And then of course you also want the logo down there also to reinforce the brand, which reinforces the product, which reinforces the statement up on the top here, the title. So and then the rest of it's just bling, shine, and your own design skills. So let's get to it. So what we have here, these are all various ads that I've done, and these aren't real ads, by the way. These are fake out ads, just so you know. Anyway, what we start with is some basic photography. These are all shots that I've taken. It was actually in my kitchen on a cookie sheet, just under bad fluorescent lighting, and there's some XMP data. Just different various shots. I used a little tripod for this thing. What you do is you set up your camera and you set all the exposures and stuff, and then you set your timer. Why? Because if you just try to take a picture with your finger, you know, on the shutter release, you're going to get some shaky camera. Always happens that way. So if you set the timer, you just are totally hands off, and it just comes out way better. And also take lots of shots. This is like, take at least 20 shots. I had a very good idea what I was going to do, but notice I took different angles, had the keypad pulled out in some of them, had it standing up straight in other ones, did a night shot, for example, all this kind of stuff. This was the particular one I chose. It seemed to work best for the particular angle that I wanted to work with, and it's nothing fancy. It's just lean up against a cookie sheet with some duct tape, or it looks like masking tape there and behind. You can see my spatula up in the corner. Anyway, and this is what it looks like finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this Photoshop file. Go ahead and convert it. So here we go there. There's the Photoshop file. Nothing fancy. And if I go to my layers, I turn on the background layer. She's ready to go. It's already grouped up. I've got my clipping mask going on here. Everything is set up, so I don't have to worry about anything. So now I've got this guy set up. First thing I'm going to do after I have this open, you can do this either way, I'm going to set this. I want to make myself a nice, you know, I'm going to do a magazine ad, so I'm going to make this 8.5 by 11 inches at 300 pixels per inch. And I might as well call this right now. I'm going to call this, you know, call it fake ad 3, because it's the third time around I've been doing this for everybody. And I'm going to leave it in RGB for right now. I work in RGB color space, and at the very end I flatten the image, and make a CMYK version and save that as a different version. So anyway, I'm going to go OK, and this is what we get. One thing I'm going to do is right off the bat is I'm going to draw guides on the very edge, and I should have my rulers, my snap to guides turned on, but I don't. Why am I doing this? Well, I'll show you in a second. When I get this set up, now I've put up these nice ruler guides all across everywhere. Then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go to my canvas size again, and I'm going to increase this. So I'm going to go, instead of 8.5, it's going to be 8 3/4 by 11.25. So what I've done is I've increased it by a 1/4 inch. So a 1/4 inch split between the two. There's going to be a quarter, an 1/8 of an inch extra all the way around. There we go. So this here, so what I've done is I've created my bleed, and so everything inside these rulers, is the live area where it's going to be appear in the magazine. The bleed area is what's going to be trimmed off when it goes to the publication. And if you do make a magazine ad, you do have choices. There is bleed and or non-bleed. If you're doing a bleed, this is how you'd set it up in Photoshop. What I like to do is do everything with a bleed, and if there doesn't need a bleed, then you just reduce it to whatever ad sizes need to be fitted. Anyway, so now we have this set up. All I'm going to do is take my group itself. I'm going to drag this guy over. There we go. Now we're set up. Because these two things are RGB and they're both 300 dpi, well, actually this one is 240. So by the way, when you take pictures with a nice camera like an SLR, you probably will get to 240 pixels per inch resolution. So, and when you bring it over, it is going to go down a little bit in size. And also, if you're taking photos yourself, use the RAW setting. The RAW setting is going to allow you to have way more control over the color adjustments, and just has better quality, bar none, period. You get bigger images, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we're going to get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. So now what I got to do is I got to go in here and I got to find my my model shot, and I've got several ones. This is the one I want to use. I was kind of looking through my stock photography and trying to find different ones here, but this one will do quite well. So I'm going to open this one up, and this one's a JPEG. And you'll notice when this opens up, I have my Photoshop settings set to open JPEGs up in the RAW file format. Why? Because I've got all my color information adjustment stuff right here. So what I'm going to do is first, just a little tip, whenever you're using stock photography or someone else's work, just kind of mess with the, bring the brightness up quite a bit. Well, let's try the exposure. Oh gee whiz, what's going on here? Brightness, bring the blacks down. There we go, bring the blacks down. Notice all this stuff in through here. So you've got, the photographer has gone through and kind of, painted out a lot of the stuff. You can actually see some rigging going on in here, over here, and this is stock photography straight from a very big stock photographer supplier. So, I mean, if you can't see it, then they're not going to check it. But check it anyway, because if you make color adjustments, you may end up with this unwanted stuff. So, luckily, I'm doing the opposite way. I actually want to blacken this quite a bit. And I'm going to bring my blacks up just a little bit, like so. And the contrast is fine. Say, for example, I might want to change. And actually, this has already been set at the XML data has already been saved from my last round. But just so you know, you can go in here and you can change. For example, I have pushed the blues and I have pushed the purples. If I bring the purples down, notice that the girl's corset here changes color. And I can change it from green, depending on whatever color information is there. All depends on what how much stuff you can change. So I'm going to push it back. I'm going to change it to the purple here. Over in the saturation area, we wanted to. Her hair is actually kind of blondie kind of color. So we actually pushed this back to yellow. Got rid of all of the yellow itself, the saturation of the yellow. So you got this nice white hair going on. So it kind of looks a little bit more punky. Just a little rough. So anyway, we got that set up. And then if you ever want to take any peek at anything else, you can kind of mess with, if you wanted to, for example, you can mess with the red tones. For example, I could go in here and boost the color information way up, etc. Maybe get her lips going on like super high, hardcore, that kind of stuff. But we're just going to leave it, as it is for right now. Okay, so we're going to open this guy up. Oh, and also down on the bottom here, you got this little HTML link. If you double click on this, it's going to tell you the information. So up in here, I can open it in various sizes. The negatives beside this means you're actually making it smaller. If there's nothing, that means it's native format. That's the size it's going to open in. And these guys here, the pluses, this means that you're going to be actually upsizing the image. It seems to me to actually work if you want to enlarge an image, a JPEG. It actually does a better job to enlarge it this way, other than just to open it up and do the increased canvas size or image size kind of dealy. A little bit of different pixel pixel scaling. I can't pronounce anything today. Anyway, so just so you know, so then we're gonna do that. You can change the resolution per inch. I have this defaulted 300. Depending on what it comes in, it could be in a various sections of resolution. So just so you know about that, I'm gonna open this guy up, this girl.